Good afternoon, guys. Did you hear? The Wi-Fi connection of Prospero House is under attack. It has been compromised. I'm kidding. Just wanted to get your attention. All right. I usually get this slot after lunch. I'm very unfortunate like that. All right. So I hope I grab your attention for the next 15 minutes. Quick introduction. I'm Manash. I have been working with ManageEngine for 8 years now. My field of expertise would be identity and access management, and I do business development and customer success. All right, so that's that. How many of you guys here know ManageEngine, have ManageEngine products? Excellent. So for people who did not know about ManageEngine, ManageEngine has been in business for more than 25 years, and we have several portfolios starting from ITSM and observability platform, identity and access management, SIEM. So any products, any technology within the realm of cybersecurity, you name it, we have it. All right. So that's how I would like to exhibit ManageEngine. So let's cut to the chase. Today's topic: who's who surviving the wild west of identity security. So we're going to definitely talk about the significance of identity security in today's cybersecurity era. Before we get into the nitty-gritties of today's topic, I want you guys to take a look at this. How many of you guys know about Maslow's pyramid? Yes? Excellent. All right. So a gentleman named Maslow, several decades ago, he put together a hierarchy of human needs. All right. So that starts from physiological needs, safety needs, love and belonging, esteem, and lastly, I would like to call it the nirvana because I come from India. All right, self-realization, self-actualization. All right, so we are going to equate this with hierarchy of organizational IT needs. All right, so what Maslow says is, if you're not strong, or if the physiological and the safety needs are not satisfied, you really cannot make a human being pursue towards self-realization or the state of nirvana. Because if you do not have food on the plate, shelter or roof above your head, you really cannot think about self-realization, being self-aware, nirvana. No, you're going to fight for food and shelter day in and day out. All right. So this pyramid will actually serve as a beautiful tool for you to assess your IT maturity. Where are we in this pyramid? So I would like to equate our physiological needs with the basic elements in an IT infrastructure, for example, identities, assets, network, apps, so on and so forth. Can we function at all would be the first question. If you check that box, then we move on to the next. How safe are we? Can we protect threats? Can we keep them out? Can we be immune from failures, network failures or application failures, anything of that sort? And Maslow's safety, the second stage, talks about being safe, being secure in a relationship, so on and so forth. And if you are very confident that you can keep the threats out, you can become immune to failures in your environment, we can move to the third stage, which is love and belonging. And in the IT hierarchy, we can talk about the integrations. So with all the applications talking to one another, do you have connectivity seamlessly within your environment? All that. The fourth one is going to be esteem, which means that the recognition, acknowledgement that you get, that you cherish, and it makes you feel good about yourself. That's going to be in the hierarchy of IT, organizational IT needs. It's going to be what can we contribute to the business. All right. If we do all the foundational things correctly, then the fourth thing is what can you contribute to the business. And the fifth one is cyber nirvana. Is there anything called cyber nirvana, or just like how human beings can achieve this state or attain this state of enlightenment? Do we have anything of such kind in the cyber world? I don't think so, because this is always going to be very elusive. If we think that we have achieved a certain place in the cybersecurity world, it's going to be a complete illusion. All right. So I just wanted to bring this to your notice, and this really helps us within ManageEngine to assess where we are in the curve of IT maturity. With that being said, we're going to focus on the bottom two layers here. the physiological needs and the safety needs, all right? And we're going to pick a foundational element of the physiological needs in the IT realm, which are identities. And we're going to talk about how can we keep the identities safe in today's environment. And why identity security? That's the million-dollar question, right? Because attackers do not break in like the old school way. They log in. That's exactly why it's imperative that we need to talk about identity security, and we have to take enough measures to make sure we have our identities secured in our environment. So talk about the proliferation of identities, all right? So there are more identities in the world than human beings. That's why we need to talk about identity security. I would like to term that we are going through a phase of identity crisis. You can approach this both philosophically and technologically, all right? As a human being, if you have to question about who you are, if you're in doubt about who you are, it means that you're slipping into identity crisis. If you have too many identities to handle in the technological space, that will let you slip into identity crisis. So speaking technologically, right? So adoption of zero trust. I'm not sure if you know, the father of zero trust, John Kinderwag, works for Illumio. I mean, Illumio folks have set up shop here. So just fun fact. And of course, financial and reputational implications if something goes south within your environment and the regulatory standards and compliances are closing in. CAF, Cyber Assessment Framework, has a separate control for access management. I would like to call CAF as a little brother of NIST. All right? So now NHS organizations are asked to abide with CAF. DSPT now merges with CAF is what I heard very recently. So that's an improvement. So this is exactly why we need to talk about identity security in today's world. So now let's listen to what market has to say. All right, so let's quickly take a look at the IDAM market landscape. In 2024, the market for identity and access management, I'm talking about global market, was 42.5 billion. Fast forward, 2025, it's expected to be around 48.2 billion. So the market for identity and access management is actually growing exponentially. That paints us a picture, doesn't it? If it's not clear, I'll show you a few other slides. Now, I'm going to talk about the market directions and drivers. We can see the consolidation of identity and access management tools started in 2020 itself when Okta acquired OAuth for $6.5 billion. It's publicly available information. So such identity giants started merging and acquiring companies that focuses on identity security. So that paints us the whole picture, all right? And SailPoint and Ethereum, Ping Identity and ForgeRock, and very few vendors out there like Saviyant, started building capabilities within their platform without going through the route of mergers and acquisitions. So is ManageEngine. We are trying to build all the capabilities of identity security and other functionalities of identity and access management that is relevant to the market within ManageEngine itself without going through the route of mergers and acquisitions. Okay, so this is the list of startups that have been funded by venture capitalists, the startups that focuses on identity security. So we spoke about mergers and acquisitions by identity giants. Now we are talking about startups, series fundings, pumped in by venture capitalists who focus on identity security. So I think we're in a market panic. The trend says so. Everyone wants identity security because the situation that we are in is unprecedented because the kind of identities that we have to deal with day in and day out is unimaginable, right? So this actually tells us the story, and this tells us why it's very important to talk about identity security in today's world. And when we say identities, how many types of identities are we talking about, all right? So we have the human identities, yes. And we have the non-human identities, APIs, tokens, passwords. And we have the CIAM, which is the customer identity and access management. So, see, a decade ago, when people say identity and access management, it was very straightforward. I loved that. All right? But now, when someone says identity and access management, I really have to triple check what do they actually mean. Is it really the workforce identity and access management? Or is it the CIEM, the cloud infrastructure entitlement management? Or is it the CIAM? Too many different jargons for identity and access management, all right? So all we need is convergence. All we need is one platform. We need a sinkhole where all your identities go in, and it helps you visualize what's happening in your environment across different platforms with respect to identities. All right, so that's the dream. That's the North Star goal that ManageEngine is progressing towards. All right, so I can speak for that. So this is the dream identity fabric architecture that we have put together in ManageEngine in-house. All right, so we really want to get to this. But to be honest with you, are we here? We are not. But we want to get here. All right, so we have pieced out all the different identity components within this fabric. You have bring your own identity. You have CIEM, enterprise access management. So this is how the sinkhole I spoke about looks like. All right, so this is where we want to get in the future. So I'm going to take 4 important components from the identity fabric I just showed you. The first one is going to be IGA, Identity Governance and Administration. The second one is going to be definitely access management. The third one is privileged access management. And fourth one is going to be the authentication. So this is the project that ManageEngine is currently working on, and we are just focusing on human identities. It doesn't mean that we have left behind non-human identities. No, it is in the roadmap. We are focusing on it, but it's not going to get released in the first phase. All right. So we are building a converged identity platform for workforce IAM that has all these different components as a single platform. So the convergence started happening very solidly in 2023, and we saw more progress in the market in 2024. On 2025, the signal is very positive, and really we want to catch up to the market trend. Do not think ManageEngine as a trend chaser. We are not, but we really don't want to fall behind as well. All right? So why converged identity platform? What's the need for it right now? So imagine you have multiple identity and access management tools for multiple infrastructures. All right. So let's say you have a separate identity and access management tool for on-prem legacy systems, one for multi-cloud environment, and one for third parties, CIAM, your customer identities. Do you think you would be able to find out, or you would be able to visualize a central picture of how identities are functioning in your environment? I don't think so. You definitely will have blind spots if you have different identity and access management components for different platforms and infrastructures. So that's exactly what converged identity platform is trying to eliminate. All right. So what are the difficulties you would face if you have multiple identity and access management components? Identity silos and fragmentation. This is exactly what we spoke. If your IAM solutions are fragmented, you're definitely going to have blind spots, and if you have blind spots, it will lead to ineffective joiners, movers, leavers process. Because you know what, this might appear to be a very simple problem to solve. Joiners, movers, leavers, it's pretty straightforward. Someone comes, you onboard, someone goes, you offboard. But oh God, talk about the number of applications they want access to, and imagine the number of applications they want to have different roles and different kind of access to. So the onboarding part is pretty simple, all right? So you put them into the system, the automation cycle runs, the provisioning happens within AD, Entra ID, Office 365, different SaaS applications. The trickiest part is when someone leaves, you need to be able to tell who has what access to what application and what level of access. So that's the kind of centralized picture an identity and access management solution should paint for you. And that's exactly what we are working towards, to give you that dream converged identity platform. So the next thing, yes, of course, privilege escalation and insider threat. 80% of the attacks that are happening in the outside world has a human element to it, human identity element to it. We all know about that. And a study says almost 20 to 30% of those human identity-based attacks that are happening has an insider element to it. All right. So If an identity within your environment acts a bit fishy, or it does not match to the patterns that you have set, the rules and conditions that you have set, you should be in a position where you get to know about it as soon as you can. All right? If you have fragmented identity and access management solutions, this is going to slip away. You're really not going to know about any anomalous behaviors when it comes to identities, all right? Some anomaly would happen in your cloud environment, but you might think it's a very siloed activity that's happening only in your cloud environment, and you have no connection to the on-prem system whatsoever. But that's not the case. Everything is interconnected, right? And the next thing would be complex and inconsistent authentication. So setting up MFAs, conditional access, and then single sign-on failures and MFA fatigue. All these kind of things can be eradicated if you have a converged identity platform that's simple in nature, that's user-friendly in nature. The next thing, the third-party and supply chain risk. This ties to the thing we spoke before, where you have your customer identities in your environment, and something happens in their environment, and it trickles down to the infrastructure of our organization. We need to be in a position where we can handpick those anomalous behaviors of customer identities, truncate them, or maybe disable and remediate them as soon as possible. Finally, compliance and complexities. So, like I said, CAF, it has a separate control for access management, and during the audit time, someone comes to your environment, sits with you, and asks all the reports. You should be in a position where you can very easily get them the reports they would like. So a converged identity platform should have consolidated reports for different compliances and regulatory standards out there, and ManageEngine has it. All right, so ManageEngine has consolidated reporting on 15 plus regulatory standards across the globe, and also a few regulatory standards and compliances native to the UK, like Cyber Essentials Plus, CAF, etc. So I think we are near to the end of the session. Last two slides. So ManageEngine's identity focus is going to be this. Now we are focusing on just the workforce identity. We have an on-prem solution that focuses on workforce identity and access management. And we want to really focus on the machine identity, the non-human identities. That's going to be the next phase. And the last phase is going to be customer identity and access management. Once we build all these different capabilities, ManageEngine is going to be like one huge customizable platform where you can pick and choose the ones you need and leave behind the ones you do not need. And this is going to be the final slide. All right, so what happens? All right, so now ManageEngine has a platform with all the necessary identity and access management components. But what about the identity analytics solutions like, let's SIEM or SOAR, UEM. So these are all different technologies, different platforms, all right? So one company really has to acquire another company to gain all these capabilities, but ManageEngine has an edge over all other companies here. I'll tell you why. Because all these different technologies, different solutions you see here, it's all homegrown within ManageEngine. We have it already. We are working in a dream project where we are consolidating all these different technologies to make it as one humongous platform which will give you all the insights and inferences you need and the reports that you are looking for to make informed decisions. With that being said, I thank you all for taking the time to listen to me, and it's Ray Manash. Cheers, guys.